Welcome back to another episode of I Still Don't Have a Name for This, Ryan. We need to get on that. This is the 11th episode. We have not actually done one like this before. We're going to stop and look back at the first 10 and see what questions you guys had and answer those in this day's show. We do one every day. The 3 questions we're going to answer are, first, how do you guys actually use the completion framework to analyze what's happening? We're going to break that down. The second question was, what do you actually say and do in the follow-up conversations? It seems like that's a really important piece, and it is. We'll break that down. And last question was, do you guys have a script framework, and what does it look like? Stay tuned for this one. It's going to be a good one. And as always, if you appreciate what we do, we would appreciate some love from you if you hit the subscribe button, like, and drop a comment if you want us to cover a topic in next weeks. I keep saying next weeks, but in the next episode.
In future episodes.
Exactly. All right, Ryan, let's dive into the first one here. All right, I'm going to hit share on my screen.
This is awesome. With all of our, less than a few hundred views, we are getting some engagement, which is amazing. This is what we want as we build this show.
Our video about completions got so far the most questions because this is a good one to pull the thread on. Let's start with the first one.
Yeah.
Love this. Would love the next episode about how to actually understand and analyze your motion with completions versus follow-ups. I think they're talking about math of sales.
Well, yeah, I think we covered this in the completions video for the most part, but because we're answering these live, I'm guessing, it's hard when someone's not providing more context, but if we start there with how do you run your motion, analyze your completions, and follow-ups, right? If we think about the entire process from the top down, again, we're trying to solve for that simple equation: target, message, channel, timing, right? When you hit the right person with the right message in the right channel at the right time, magic happens.
Yep.
Right? And if you rethink outbound calling not as a sales channel with this idea that we have to get people that are ready to buy now, and actually think of it as a advertising channel, which is the advertising and marketing equation: target, message, channel, timing, this all starts to click, right?
I love your term for this, Ryan: conversational advertising.
That's exactly right. So when we think about the motion here, you target companies, you sell to people, you build a list of all the people that you believe you want to do business with. It's a hypothesis, of course. It's not always perfect. Then you get the people within those organizations that you believe have the problem that your product or service solves. Okay? And again, it's a hypothesis. You may not know specifically, but hopefully you get a general idea of people and companies are doing a job every day, right? Everyone's getting the job done. It's that's just how business is. And so there's always a status quo of your product or service coming in to solve a problem that they ideally are responsible for. So that's how you should think about the people. And every organization doesn't have problems, they have people. So we got to identify people who are solving problems in an inefficient way, an expensive way, or in a risky way. And our product or service is there to serve them. Okay. So when we think about the completions concept, we move away from our only objective being, let's try to get a meeting with these individuals, and let's actually think about the purpose of calling in the first place. And this was outlined in Jeb Blunt's book, Fanatical Prospecting. When we call, there's 4 outcomes we can seek. We're building awareness, we're capturing information, we're setting a meeting when appropriate, and of course, we can use the phone to move deals forward, which, as we know, is a big problem in the market. But let's just talk about the problem when you only focus on meetings. That's only one of 4 outcomes, right? And you forget about those top of funnel outcomes. And the completion is aimed at actually solving for the 3 most important ones, right? You're building awareness, you're gathering information, you're moving deals forward. So the motion is you have inherently a list of people you want to talk to, companies and people. You figure out that you can actually reach them on the phone. You call them, and you want to be able to deliver your pitch so that they can hear it like an advertisement, right? So it should be consistent.
Yes.
You're not changing it up.
Stick to the script.
You got to stick to the message, the framework.
Yep.
There's, obviously there's some open dialogue, but your goal is to deliver that message so that they can hear you And then you want to have some sort of call to action that you're looking to deliver. And this could then result in that yes, the no, the not me, not now. So when you're calling, you're you're getting the information, you're building your awareness, you're getting yeses, which could be meetings or activations. You're getting the no's, not me's, not now's, which are other completions. And as you look at the actual distribution of those completions, you can then use that to map to the math of markets, right? How many people are buying now? How many are open to it? How many aren't thinking about it? And then the rest that aren't really interested right now. And so when you look at the distribution of your completions, you can get a really strong signal if we're on track to, are we targeting the right people? Are we saying the right things? And then ultimately, the fat stacks are going to be in those circle backs, right?
100%.
Because 6 out of 10 times you're going to get not interested. Thank you. We're good. We're getting the job done. So I don't know if that answers it specifically. I don't know if you want to dig deeper into that.
And you know what, Ryan,
that's the idea.
I have a treat for everyone. So I'm actually going to show a little bit more behind the scenes. And this is what we do for clients. But I'm going to use one of our products, Callblitz. By the way, if you're a cold caller and you're tired of calling alone, check out Callblitz. So what I'm going to share is a dashboard which gives you that insight. I'm going to start with the more basic one, and then we'll move over to the other one. This gives you the high-level overview of the funnel from dial to connect to completion, completion to activation and meeting. This is an example of calling CROs and VPs of sales to try to deliver the conversational ad of, do you have a way for your virtual cold calling team to dial together as if they're in an office together? Do you have a way to do that today or not? And so we can see here at a high level, 52% of the people that we were able to reach on the phone, which was a quarter every fourth dial, we connected with the intended target. 52% of those people who connected became a completion of some sort. And I'll show you what the breakdown distribution was. And then of those, we had the breakdown of people who were interested in as an activation or wanted to learn more. Now, when you actually look at the breakdown of those 1,100 dials, of the 256 that we're connected with, I can see immediately that 29 were bad data. This could just be, oh yeah, I'm not at that company anymore. I retired. That's good feedback because I still connected with the person. I know I need to keep this number low. I don't want too much bad data. The remaining connects, a chunk of them, 89, didn't allow me to complete my conversational ad. I didn't complete my pitch, or I completed it but didn't learn anything. That's a key here. If I tell them the pitch and they go, yeah, not interested, and hang up, I still didn't learn anything. Now, of the 135 that I completed the pitch and learned something, I can see an even distribution here. The very first thing that jumps out in this example is 33, which is about a quarter of the people I talk to, are bad targeting. These are going to be folks who are just should not be targets. We call that not in swim lane. The account is not a good fit. That's immediate feedback right here that in my list, a quarter of the people I'm adding should never be there in the first place. That is extremely valuable when you think about all of the effort, money, time that's about to go into following up, having conversations.
Right. Well, in this case, because you're doing Callblitz's data, or we discover that they don't have a team that makes calls, right? So they're based on referrals, right. So it's just not a fit.
It's not a fit.
And that's not a loss, by the way. It's information that allows us to now understand that the account is not qualified. Remember, we had a hypothesis that we believe that these companies are using the phone. That's why they're on the list in the first place. Most of the triggers are things like they're hiring for reps who are supposed to be making calls, and then you call them, they're like, yeah, we're mostly just working off of like inbounds and referrals. We don't have a really strong phone culture. So if they're not really focused on the phone, it's not going to be someone we want to really do business with.
And Ryan, I want to show everyone also just kind of the other things that are unique to our methodology, buckets, and how we disposition calls. But one of the other ones is the not now. If you guys remember back to the Chet Holmes buyer pyramid, this is going to be a big chunk of your market. These are future opportunities. These are not nows, but they could be laters. I just want to point that out. In this example here, we could see that 15% of the people we connect with are future interested opportunities. Without a system to identify those, without a system to bring that call, the follow-up call, back up to the surface for the caller, that is gold that will be missed. That's an opportunity that will be missed. Alternatively, This is part of the system that we build in on the back end of the dialer, automation, so that these not nows, 15% of the people I'm going to ever talk to, I can call them back when it is a now. They say, yeah, maybe in 6 months. I'll call them back in 3. Oh, maybe call me back in 6 weeks. I'm busy traveling. I'll try them back in the next few weeks. Without the ability to identify that person, where they are in their buying cycle, having a system that automatically will capture the follow-up and surface it when it comes due, I'm going to miss that opportunity. So in hindsight, to answer the question of how do we analyze and use completions and follow-ups to analyze the success of the campaign, to understand the math of market, there's a lot of things you could do. You could treat the phone like a campaign to run discovery on a new product line I want to try. I can try different personas, or I could just simply see where is my market in terms of how they respond to my message. As long as my message is consistent, then the data is going to be very clear about where everyone falls in the distribution. Not me, not now, yes or no.
All right. What's our next question?
Sweet. All right, this one's a goodie. These videos are great. You both mentioned, let me just pull up the comment here from John Ardilla. Thank you, John, for being a fan.
John, shout out to John.
You both mentioned follow-up being a major part of the process. Ryan just said it 5 minutes ago. Maybe you can expand on how follow-up should look, how they should look like, or how they should be constructed in future videos. Ooh, this is Ryan's favorite topic. What should I do on a follow-up call?
So again, let's go back to the idea that this is conversational advertising. And in the beginning, it's one list, one message, right? One list, one message based on the persona and the problem that you're solving that should relate to their role. And you want to be consistent with delivering that message. Think of it like you're scrolling your news feed and you get caught with copy. It's always, they might run different variant tests, but like the point is an ad itself is always the same when they run it. Okay. And the advertisers do all this great back end in terms of click-through rates, etc. We just went through the math or the science of understanding if we're on track or not, make adjustments to our message. Now, once we've connected with somebody, the first call is one to many, like it's one to many, right? It's audience. It's this message to the audience. Now, once we've connected with someone and we've captured information, we now want to move from one-to-one personalized to one-to-one personalized. Personalized based on the conversation information that we captured, right? Also, now that we have somebody on the phone, not only do we know that they're reachable, if it's a follow-up, it's also receptive, okay, which is super important. They are receptive to hearing you out. That's why you got to a completion. So what does this mean? You can actually take some time to do what all of these sales people say. Cold calling works when it's hyper-targeted and well-researched, okay? You can actually now spend some time to dig a little bit deeper into whatever was said on the previous call to get more information, right? I am no longer having to go through one message that's consistent. I can now personalize more towards the information I captured from the call and the individual I'm speaking to or the company that I'm targeting. So it's pretty straightforward. In the conversation in the first place, you should take diligent notes about what was said, but also the specific words that were said. So you can reference that in the follow-up. So Ronen, we spoke, I have the date in my dialer back on this date. If it was like an incomplete, it could just be, sounds like it was the worst possible time. You have some more time and you would go back to your advertisement because you haven't gotten to the completion. If it's a completion, last time we spoke, you said bang, 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 bang. Now I'm reaching out today either because you said to and not now, or if it was someone that was kind of not interested or even some not me's, I have an idea. I was looking on your site. I just spoke with another company similar to you and they said this. I was curious if you're experiencing the same. Lots of different traction that you can go there. You can't really script this out. There's some specific bullet points here, but this is where you have to put your brain on and move into what do I know about them? What do I know about the company? And how do I map that to, I was thinking about this the other day about where the most successful outbound campaigns work is when you can get into the conversation that they're having with their peers, right? So the most powerful way to do it is I'm literally speaking with other people just like you all the time in some capacity. I literally just spoke with this other person, and then if you can use some mapping there where it's similar to them, you're gonna get more interest, more more intrigue. Huh? They're doing that. They're trying to solve it in this way. You got my interest, right? So it's really important that in the follow up, you're not just calling and saying, I'm circling it back, I'm touching base, I'm doing that. I'm referring to the previous interaction and I'm trying to drive it forward to the next best action based on what we've discovered or what we can find out about what we think they're doing as an organization now. So
And
it's
Ryan,
pretty straightforward to do some of this stuff, right? Click
and
the
Ryan, you
LinkedIn
just said
URL.
something I think pretty incredible that I just want to reiterate. Going from personalized to personalized in the world of LinkedIn and all of the other B2B sales gurus out there, you're going to see a lot of people who are still pushing BS like research your prospects, know things like back in, I just had a prospect tell me this today. He's like, yeah, it was easy to do SDRing like 5 to 10 years ago. You would just say, hey, I saw you went to this alma mater, like go Bears. Hey, by the way, want to take a meeting? It's like, that's what too many people still think the first conversation should be like. But that is not correct. Personalized means that I have the message mapped to that person's role, that person's, my understanding of what they do every day and what would get their attention. Once I've had that first interaction and it doesn't lead to a dead end, meaning the person's no longer at the company or something that's a total dead end, and I have a reason to try that person back, I can now shift to a personalized approach where it's actually arguably worth spending an extra 1, 2, 3 minutes before that next conversation, the follow-up conversation. I say arguably because there's a scenario where maybe not, but to come in with 1 or 2 very targeted pieces of information that could be interesting and create, as Ryan, you just said perfectly, create some intrigue. Because creating intrigue with your buyer means you're shifting them. They're kind of like floating up the buyer's pyramid now from don't think to they're interested to, oh, actually, maybe I am somewhat interested in learning a little bit more about this. All we want to do in the follow-up call is be a little bit more warm than the original cold call, be a bit more targeted, and try to create some intrigue or interest. And guess what? The worst case scenario, if it doesn't go well again, you just try them back yet again in the future.
Yeah, and that's for the completions follow up. The other stage of follow up is activations, no shows, etc. This stuff is so low hanging fruit, and reps just do not make these calls. It blows my mind that organizations who are using outbound callers to book meetings schedule on a rep's calendar, or maybe you're doing this for yourself and you need to rethink your life. You're scheduling somebody via the phone, and then after you've had that interaction, then you go lean on all these other channels to try to get them back in. Hey, can we schedule an email? Hey, can we schedule an email? You're pinging them on LinkedIn. You're maybe even trying to text them, which is super annoying. Super annoying until you have a relationship with somebody. Not to discount how powerful texting is for closing deals. I just closed one this morning via text for Callblitz. But texting is good when you have a relationship. Stop that shit when you don't know them yet. It's kind of annoying for most people. But Ryan, I get lots of stuff here. Sure. But just pick up the phone and call that person and get them back into the conversation so that you can get away from these passive, I'm not getting information, to are they still active and interested, or should I get them out? This is super important, right? When you call somebody back, you get so much more information when they've either missed a meeting, maybe if it's in your later stage in the sales pipeline. Using the phone for follow-up is huge. So I don't want to go too deep into that because we've got some more questions here, but the fat stacks are in the circle backs, and you need to continue to pick up the phone and pursue. People are not sitting around wanting to make decisions, and ultimately, most of the people that you're selling to, if you've done a good enough job, actually appreciate the persistent when you have identified an actual problem that is not necessarily their top priority, but is something that they need to be thinking about. And that goes back to you being passionately, genuinely strong belief. You have to have a passion and belief that whatever you're selling is actually going to serve the person. If you don't have that, it's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible to do this stuff. Like you can't, you've got to get away from, oh my goodness, they said this and I just don't know. I don't want to bother them yet. Oh, it's about like right now. I'm sure there's a ton of you right now. It's the holidays. let's go ahead and give them a few more weeks. I see reps do this all the time in our trainings. I just onboarded a new rep in France. I've been getting up at the butt crack of dawn even earlier than I usually do
Never
the
heard
last
anyone
couple of
call it
weeks.
that, Ryan. The butt crack of dawn.
Yeah,
It's a new Ryan Reisertism.
and the rep's like, oh yeah, the person said, call me back in a few weeks. I'm gonna go ahead and put that to February. I'm like, February is a few months. It's
Yeah.
not a few weeks. And by the way, a few weeks you cut it in half. Like these types of things show me that you don't actually believe in what you're bringing to the market. And if you don't have that belief, it's going to be very difficult for you to do follow up.
All right, last question here, and this one is a quick one because I think the answer will be pretty quick, which is, so do you guys have a framework or script that focuses on strong completion/conversations? It sounds like the main idea is framing it in a way that gets prospects to naturally open up themselves instead of being hit with a pitch slap that leads uh,
Did
the
you create a fake persona and make this comment?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Come,
But I
come
did reply already to this with like, hey, here's the link to the script. but, but I
we
think,
all we also did a whole video on this as well.
and we shot a video on it. Yeah, which by the way is right over here. So
Yeah.
if
We, we,
you uh, if you haven't seen this one, cold calling isn't dead. Your script is. Check that one out.
Yeah,
But
it's so funny though because that's all the words I use all the time. Most people who are cold calling are pitch slapping, right? The call sounds something like this. Hey Ronen, this is Ryan Reisert with Callblitz. We're a virtual sales floor for sales teams that are calling remote, and we basically get them into more dials and have better conversations. So would you be interested in taking some time for a meeting? Click, right?
yep.
I literally just, it's like me just calling and just getting it all out there and hoping something sticks. Instead, what we want to do is call and establish a two-way dialogue, break a pattern, and open up a conversation so that they can hear you and listen to what you have to say. And we don't need to get into all the details because we just shared where you can go to get that information. But stop pitch slapping, be human. The goal, if you listen to any of the content that I've put out on the internet a long time ago, and I there's probably over 1,000 hours of this somewhere in different sessions, you can hear my tone, my pace, the cadence, and the unique approach that goes in here. Actually, in that video, we have a
I was just
sample
gonna
of the
say
call.
we have a recording of you, Ryan, in that video. If you haven't checked out that script video, go check it out. I think I've actually pinned it at the top of the channels as the main video that loops. So check that out. We break down the whole script, but we focus specifically in on what this comment is about, which is the framing of the pitch to get them to open up.
Yeah. We want the
So
magic words. We want the magic words. What are the magic words?
what
What are the
what
magic?
are the magic words?
What are we
I don't
looking
know if
for?
this is for I don't know if this is for you or not.
No, no, no. What do we want to hear from them? What are the magic? What are the secret words?
Wait, yeah, well, you want to hear someone processing. That's interesting.
No, what we want to hear them say is, dude, you haven't even told me what do you do?
Oh, you're talking about before you actually get into the pitch part.
Before you pitch, you want
Yeah,
them to ask you, just like you're at a conference, right? You don't go up to people at the conference and be like, "Hey, Ronen, I'm Ryan with Callblitz. We're a virtual sales floor."
they'd
You
be
would
like, "All right,
start you would
weirdo."
start you would start a conversation, right? And then you're waiting for them to say, "So what do you do?" Right? This is how you get trained typically if you've ever been trained by any decent sales trainer. Like you want to have that elevator pitch down to answer the question, what do you do? Right? Little bonus here, if you haven't perfected that, you should start going to local networking events and start meeting people and start they're not going to be
Rehearse
there's
it
no
over
risk
and over.
here and you're rehearsing your what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? And you need to get that down to a science. And if you
Into
get it,
yeah. In 2015, when I broke into tech for the first time, I was an SDR, and I'll never forget the third week at the company. They sent me to Cleveland, Ohio, to Content Marketing World, where ironically is my hometown. But I was in New York at the time, and before that, I was like still not exactly sure what the company did. It was called SmartLing. It was localization software. After 48 hours at that conference, I could do it in my sleep. Must have told 100 people a day. They go, "Oh, what do you do? What company are you with?" And
yeah,
so that's a great tip for anyone who's starting out. Go somewhere in person where you're forced to explain it over and over and over and over, and you'll see the feedback.
happy hours, events, and it's even better to pitch to have your what do you do pitch locked in to talk to people that have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, because you want to simplify what do you do, not in the terms of all the marketing bullshit with jargon and platform. We're a blah 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 platform that does all this. Like what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
explain it. Like there's the how framework that works really, really well. You know how this problem exists. What we do is solve it in this way. That's a very, very good exercise for folks that are brand new. Get out, go to happy hours, networking events, even if it's not in your industry, and meet a bunch of people and start to explain what do you do. Talk to your if you're a kid living with your mom still, talk to your mom, talk to your friends, talk to your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, whoever, to just get this out in such a way where you can explain what you do to someone that doesn't know your industry. That's when you can really start to be lethal in cold calling, because you don't want to assume that whatever your company has brainwashed you into, where this type of process is going to make any sense to
No,
anyone in the market.
no. Yeah, I mean, what I mean, comment below if you want us to do a deep dive again into like writing the pitch part of the script. We could do a whole video on that, even multiple videos, because that's a great one to get into. There's
We,
lots of good frameworks. But one of the things
we could probably even bring Josh Braun on one of these episodes.
I was just gonna say that should be Ryan, you read my mind. I literally last night as I was falling asleep, I'm like, why don't we get Josh Braun on an episode? That'd be so fun. That's wild, Ryan. But the tip here is if you're writing anything, avoid marketing jargon and use insider lingo. Marketing jargon is all the stuff your marketing team loves to use. Insider lingo is the stuff that your prospects actually use when they're talking to their peers.
Yeah, getting back, you want to be in the conversations they're in. Like that's the
Yes.
key. That's the key. How do you get into the conversations that your market is already in and try to speak their language as much as possible, not your marketing language. And ideally you're talking about it as if you know the problems that they're experiencing and you're coming in with a unique, fresh approach that they're not aware of. That's why you're calling them. Otherwise, they'd be coming to you,
Yep.
right?
Awesome. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment, hit subscribe. As always, I'm Ronen Pessar. With me is my partner, wink, wink, Ryan Reisert. We're the Outbound Operators. If you've made it this far, mazel tov.